Hello, everyone, and welcome. And thank you for tuning in to Health Leaders, the place for peer sourced and solution focused insights for healthcare executives. My name is G. Hatfield, and I'm the CNO editor for Health Leaders. Today, we are speaking with Caitlyn Obrock, who is the System Director of Workforce Strategy and Scheduling at SSM Health, and Andrea Zimmerman, who is the Marketing Program Manager. And we are speaking about the social media influencer team at SSM Health. So, hi, Caitlyn and Andrea. How are y'all?
Hello, doing
Doing well.
well.
Good, good, good.
Thanks for having
Thank
us.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you for taking the time. This is a really exciting conversation. Something that I've been focused on in my work in this space has been why it's important for CNOs to get involved with social media. So I'm really excited to be having this conversation with both of you today. So just right out of the gate, why do you think it's important for nurse leaders to get involved in social media? And maybe Caitlin, if you want to take this one.
Yeah, of course. I think it's so important that we have a presence within social media across all of our clinicians to be a voice really in the platforms that people are communicating in. And so, as much as we love our emails and communication boards at the hospitals and ministries, it's really important to know that our future generations, as well as current workforce, are within the social media platforms. And if we're not having a presence or a space, we're missing a huge opportunity to not only share about our hospital and our brand, but also the overall nursing workforce.
Mhm. Absolutely. And Andrea was telling me before we started the call just now that a lot of this, there's a lot of negativity surrounding nursing on social media. I don't know if Andrea, you want to shed any more insight on that?
Yeah, I think during the pandemic, we saw a huge shift in how social media was being used. The short form video really became popular, and the curtain was kind of peeled back from healthcare providers showing us what it was like to work during the pandemic. And it was tough. And as a result, there was a lot of attention drawn to the difficult sides of being a nurse and some of that negativity is accurate, and some of it can draw a lot of attention and clicks, so
Mhm.
much so that we started to see this shift in Gen X or Gen Z, um, not really wanting to go into the field of nursing. So we wanted to join the conversation and shine a positive light on nursing. Of course, there's always room for improvement in every field, every career, but there's a lot of positive things to be said about being a nurse, from the impact that nurses make on a daily basis, to just that purpose and passion that nurses have in their career. So we figured if we didn't join the conversation was never going to change. So it gave us an opportunity to kind of tell our story our way.
Absolutely. Yeah, so tell me about SSM Health's social media influencer team. How did that initiative start? If Caitlin, you want to go first.
Yeah, of course. It was spring of 2023, and I had the pleasure of working with our now system vice president of transformation innovation. But he was previously the CNO at the hospital that I worked at, and he reached out. I was one of the first nurse influencers at SSM Health, so it started in the spring of 2023 with really all of us sitting at a table around a whiteboard of what this should look like. Of course, at that time, we had a lot of modeling of social media influencers stepping into the space, making careers out of that. But I would say, 2 years ago, not a lot of presence other than a couple of well-known nurse influencers independently. And
Mhm.
so we started with three nurse influencers. That since has grown over the last 2 years. But our goal was really to identify individuals that were vastly different and connect with people. I'm really big on authentic relationships. And so we had three different influencers. I joked that I was somehow like the middle aged mom one, but I didn't feel like that was me.
Mhm.
Gen Z individual that was able to connect with the workforce differently. And so I'd say it was baptism by fire, trial by error, moving quickly to identify how we should be positioning ourselves within the platform, as well as learning. This isn't our own personal brand, but our organization's brand, while balancing being able to connect with individuals, creating engaging content, especially as a large non for profit Catholic healthcare organization, that there are a lot of learnings, but we moved quickly through that from the component of recruitment as well as social media.
Mhm. Absolutely. And Andrea was saying that you did a lot of the recruiting. So how did you pick the nurse influencers?
Yeah, we picked nurse influencers that were internal. And so we had, I would say, guiding principles that we knew we wanted. I'm big on transformation overall. And so, really, we broke what the recruitment process was at that time. But what I knew as a nurse manager at the time is that as a nurse, I wanted someone to be able to answer my questions, move quickly. Everything's at our fingertips right now. To have the emotional and authentic connection that you're able to have nurse to nurse, and be the most responsive, quickest individual to provide the option that I wanted. And so when we were designing our influencer program, we considered those that had sound operational knowledge to be able to do the recruitment as well as knowing our organization. But I will say that there's an art to being an influencer, and you have to be comfortable and getting out in front of the camera,
Mhm.
which can be an interesting recruitment experience to find someone that has both of those skill sets, but also a testament to Andrea and the social media team that helped us form those skills as well.
Absolutely. And so, Andrea, I want to get into that. What kinds of content does the team work on?
Yeah, the majority of our content is short form video. I would say 98% of our content is short form video. We're on all the major platforms, so Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. And we have content pillars that we set up that strategically aligns with our goals of having the social media program. Of course, trends that you see on
Mhm.
social media are always going to help boost the visibility of your content. So we use and leverage the algorithm. But then also going back to that positivity I was talking about before, trying to inspire other nurses and show the positive sides of being a nurse, as well as the culture here at SSM.
Mhm.
So we meet on a regular basis to discuss a variety of ideas, but a lot of times the content that they get comes from building really good, solid relationships with people in our ministries, starting with the CNO, getting direction from them as far as what units should we highlight, and then just having really good communication around what our purpose is, what our goal is with our content visits, to make it as efficient and productive as possible.
Absolutely. And how have the other nurses at SSM, how have they responded to this?
I think at first people were a little hesitant. They were wondering who we were and what we were doing exactly.
Mhm.
It's a different way to use social media, especially in the corporate world, to just let employees be themselves and show what's actually happening within our walls. But once they started to understand how they view social media, what they're consuming and what they enjoy going on the social media platforms for, they understood that in order to stand out, in order for our content to be seen, we had to kind of follow suit with what we're seeing on social media. And so just like you would expect, there's some more extroverted people who are willing and ready to be in content, and then there's others who are a little bit more shy. And so we're very respectful of their comfort level, but we also offer other opportunities. We don't always have to show faces in our content. They could give us a tip, and we could just show a portion of an arm or feet. And we love getting ideas too. You don't have to be in the content, but if you can just tell us kind of what your idea might be, we could use that idea and have somebody else be in the content.
Absolutely. And Caitlin, from your end, have you seen more interest among the nurses to participate as influencers?
Absolutely. I remember my early days, it felt like we were pulling people along versus now. I love to see that people have more ideas and they're submitting those through our DMs on our different social media platforms, as well as coming up with their own videos and content. I always tell people that you have to create the cringy content. So in the beginning, and Andrea can laugh. She was probably so nice, but like we created some really cringy content that did not resonate. And so you have to just continue to fail forward, which I appreciate our organization going on that journey with us. And now it's been fun to see it's kind of sparked a lot of excitement as well as connection from individuals to say, hey, I want to work on that unit. I really like that the nurse is like Taylor Swift, or, it looks like that's a really state of the art building that we are scrolling all the time, nonstop. And so we're missing a huge opportunity as, nursing leaders and organizations if we're not putting ourselves into those spaces.
Mhm. Absolutely. And I love what you said about failing forward. That's the nature of social media, right? You kind of gotta, like you're saying, you gotta make the cringy stuff at the beginning.
Yeah.
It's part of the gig. Absolutely. So from the marketing perspective, Andrea, did you run into any hurdles during the implementation process? And are you experiencing any roadblocks now?
Hurdles in the beginning was just developing our process, as a pilot program that it was here to stay. We had to figure out what was going to be the most efficient for our team to work both on their phones, collecting content, understanding they're not, content creators. So guiding them through that process, finding editing tools that are user friendly, going through an approval process to understand where that fine line is of, don't cross that line, but let's make our content entertaining. So we worked through a lot of those hurdles. And then, as I mentioned before, just communicating internally to nursing leaders, down to, bedside staff, that we have this program and this strategy, and if it looks different and feels different, it's meant to be different. We're trying to connect with the workforce differently. The digital town square is where people are having conversations. It's where people are going for information, and so it's important that we're there, but also that we're providing content and information that they find entertaining or valuable in some way.
Mhm. Absolutely. And I think you mentioned this program has been in place since 2023. Is that correct?
Yes. Hmm.
Perfect. Awesome. Yeah. Well, are there any outcomes that either of you want to share that you've seen so far?
Yeah, I can speak to the social media side. So since we started in late to 2023, we've grown our following across all of the platforms, to 80,000 followers organically. There's not, paid components behind that except for an occasional boosted post. So what that's telling us is people are thirsty for this type of content. I'll toot Caitlin's horn for her. When she was an influencer, she created a piece of content that went so viral that it's had nearly 10 million views.
Oh, wow.
It's a piece of content that's day shift versus night shift and kind of their experiences. So, really resonated with a lot of people. Tons of comments, tons of shares, people just talking amongst themselves, agreeing with what nurses were saying in the video. Um, we've also seen a really great engagement rate, which usually on a healthcare recruitment social media page, you're not going to see anything over 0.5%. And we're
Mhm.
right under 3% for an
Oh,
engagement
wow.
rate. So lots of great positive metrics.
Absolutely. Yeah. Caitlin, do you have any outcomes you want to share from your end?
Yeah, I was going to say Andrea's got all of the numerical, which are always really impressive. But for me as a nurse, I would still choose to be a nurse again. And I
Mhm.
think sometimes we talked a little bit about the negativity that we see within social media and just surrounding healthcare as a whole. And for me, I know I would choose this again and again. And so really enjoy scrolling through the comments of those individuals that are saying, "Hey, I'm really grateful for this positive content," or "I'm going to choose nursing, I'm going to choose healthcare," which are all really challenging things to measure. But for us to be able to inspire the future generations, it's hard to kind of wrap your mind around that we're helping mold what that looks like. As we know, a lot of our younger generations are actually choosing their careers off of, say, a TikTok.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah, it's the power of social media, truly. And I think, that's something that I also have been finding through speaking with other CNOs is it's time for nursing to get into that conversation and really drive the narrative so that, like both of you are saying, it doesn't get driven for them. Yeah, so my last question is, do you have any advice for CNOs or other nurse leaders who might want to take a similar approach? If Caitlin, you want to go first.
Yeah, of course. Just get started. I would have never imagined 2 years ago that we would have, close to 100,000 followers within our platform. And so it is really hard to do things when everyone else is looking at you like, why are you doing that? That's not okay, whether it's social media or reinventing yourself or your organization. And so the time is now. And if you're not moving towards this direction of having involvement in social media, you're going to be left behind. And it's a very challenging time that we sit in just overall as an organization. And so it's really important that we're helping amplify our stories. Otherwise, the stories are going to get told on our behalf. And so, not to hide or shy away from the hard things that we are navigating the waters of, but to bring a lot of amplitude to the voices that are within our hospitals and our ministries. And so, if I could just sum it up, it's just get started, get out there on social media, make the cringy content. It's going to be okay. The algorithm, it goes away eventually, and
Hmm.
there's no better time than now.
Absolutely. And Andrea, do you have any advice as well?
The only thing I would say is, coming into SSM to lead this program, what I loved was the executive leadership buy-in for the program. Without that support and that vision, it would be really difficult for a marketing team to do that without their support and guidance. So, the understanding of the importance of being in that digital town square and just connecting with the workforce differently was really our guiding light.
Absolutely. Well, thank you both so much for your time. I am really grateful to have had this opportunity to get to know you both and hear your insights. And thank you so much to everyone for listening. Thank you, Caitlin and Andrea.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.